Hi, I'm Fran Brill, and you're watching a podcast where nostalgia comes alive. It's Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. Roll it.
Welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, the podcast where nostalgia comes alive. Since July of 2021, Jake and his friends have interviewed professionals in the worlds of acting, directing, writing, puppeteering, and many more. Who will they be chatting with in this week's interview? Find out in this Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, where nostalgia comes alive. Happy to be here with us. Thank you for joining. As always, I'm your host, Jake Deffinbaugh. Me today, as always, our co-host, Chris Bixby and Matt Bingel. How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Doing great. Hello, everybody. Glad you're with us. How are you, Jakey?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thank you for asking. Chris,
Fantastic.
what do we have for today?
Yes, again, happy you're here with us, folks. Our guest today is a puppeteer, writer, and director. You probably know him from his work with the Muppets, where he performs the characters Pepe, Dr. Teeth, the Swedish chef, Rowlf the dog, and many others. He also puppeteered on Dinosaurs, the Animal Show. He originated Elmo's dad, Louie, on Sesame Street for a couple years, and a whole bunch of other projects we'll be touching base on later. Please welcome to the show, Bill Barretta. Bill, happy to have you here.
Hey, hi. How you guys doing?
You're doing good.
Doing fantastic.
Doing great.
Great. Good to
Awesome.
see you guys.
Good to see you too.
Yes, you too.
Up close and
Likewise.
personal.
Yeah,
is
literally.
this- Can you guys see me all right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, of course.
Okay, great.
Yes. So before we're gonna start things off, some of your colleagues that you want me to tell me that they say hello to you, Bruce, Lenore, Alan Drummond, Michelle Sisti, and Kevin Carlson. They say hello.
So sorry you have to deal with these people.
Actually, Bruce was our very first guest.
Of course, it's all about him.
So,
You know, we're from the same town.
oh, really?
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
we had
wow.
no idea. We worked on the first thing we ever met on was on Dinosaurs. And we soon, not long after, discovered that we were both from Willingboro, New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
and we went to the same doctor as kids. Our general practitioner was the same doctor and was actually a family friend of ours because we lived right behind his office in their house. And so our parents became very friendly. But yeah, Bruce would go to to see Dr. Workchafter. And yeah, so we're from the same place, same water.
Awesome.
Pretty
So,
cool.
so to start this off, could you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and like who you are and what you do?
Ooh. Sure. What do I do? Well, I wiggle dollies. I love to create characters. I've been with the Muppets I've been with I should say with the Henson world for 30 years, over 30 years maybe now. But I started working with the Muppets really around 94, 95, started doing some background characters, assisting a little bit on Dinosaurs, although I was inside of Earl most of the time. I did a couple little things there, but and then just started assisting a little bit and a couple background characters, and then I guess I got my real training ground on a show called The Animal Show, where it was like a conveyor belt of characters, and the way we shot it, it was a 3-camera shoot. We had the most amazing director who was the director on the Muppet Show, Peter Harris.
Oh, wow.
He was the director of that, and it was really challenging for me because I had never really worked for a 3-camera shoot. Fortunately, Dave Goles and Steve Whitmire were the hosts and helped me along. But if I don't know if you've seen the show, but the host area was kind of like an alcove where they were. It was kind of like a half moon area, and that's where Jake and Stinky were. And then the guests would come to that area. Well, inside underneath, we pasted up or taped up all of the dialogue for the shows, and then our monitors were below that. And it was we would simultaneously do the scene, but then the footage would come up that they played in real time, because we would go to real footage and we would comment on that and talk about that. So it was just a huge learning thing for me to be able to follow the script, play the character, watch the cameras change, be able to adjust quickly in case I was looking off the wrong way and this camera came on. I had to adjust a little bit quickly, you know, so that it felt like he was looking in the right place. It was just a huge schooling experience for me. And it was almost like, okay, here comes, let's do the giraffe character. Okay, okay, next puppet. Okay, now, you know, we just keep going. I think we did like 2.5 shows a day or something, or I can't remember. It was a lot. And so from there, then Henson just would ask me to come and do some more, and I got to know the guys, some of the main core performers from Dinosaurs, Kevin Clash and Brian, of course, and Dave Goles, and I did Earl together the first season. Steve Whitmire, of course. You know, so it was just filled with these amazing people, and we got along. We had fun, and we would do characters and play around all the time, and so that's, I guess, why they kept me around and asked me if I wanted to do something else. And so I ended up doing Treasure Island and character named Clueless Morgan.
Beautiful movie. Love that movie.
Isn't it? I love it too. Absolutely. I love it too.
Yeah.
It's my first movie ever that I ever did. And I, you know, Clueless didn't have a lot of dialogue in the script, but
right.
I improvised a lot. So he got his moments in there. And so just from there, I don't know, I just kept working with them, and somehow I don't even remember how it happened, but I ended up performing Rowlf in the tavern in Treasure Island. He hadn't been used since Jim passed. I did the Swedish Chef in Treasure Island. And those just somehow became characters that I started to do. And then sorry, is this going on way too long? Am I just rambling?
No, you're good.
You asked me to tell them who I am.
You're good. You're good.
You're good.
This is what our podcast is about.
I didn't even go back to when I was a kid. That's probably where I should have started. But and so then so after Treasure Island, we had a workshop that we did where we were coming up for new characters because they were going to do the show Muppets Tonight. And so they were trying to find some new characters, and I remember Frank Oz was involved with us in doing that, and we'd get the characters and go up in front of a camera, grab a puppet, and Frank would interview them, you know, and we'd just make shit up. And can I say shit?
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know, from there I got a few characters on Muppets Tonight, and I just love being around these people and doing what we do. And it's almost like what I did as a kid, you know. I mean, my brother was the one who always got us to do everything, and he was the most creative person that I knew. And so he would figure out, oh, we're going to do this today and we're going to do that today, and he would put me in these things. And so it was always just about playing, and that's kind of what the Muppets have always been about, is playing. You know, if it gets too serious, and what's the point? You know, it's not fun. So anyway, is that enough? I don't know. Blah, blah. Here, take that.
And you mentioned Muppets Tonight, and the cool thing about that is that's where one of our good friends, Leslie Crow Rudolph, really got her start.
Another terrible person. Just, I don't know why you associate yourselves with these people. I'll tell you something about Leslie Crow. So Brian Henson and I were auditioning people for the show, and you know, of course, we had a list of people, and she came in, and I don't know if you've ever seen her do her kind of, I don't know how long it is exactly, but about 2 minutes maybe of The Wizard of Oz. You ever seen her do that?
Yes. Oh yes.
So that's what she came in and she did, and I was just blown away. You know, I thought, how could we not have her join us? And so that was it. We were like, we've got to have Leslie. She had never puppeteered before, but Kevin Clash worked with her all the time, and sometimes he would sub in for her, and she would do the voice of a character as she was learning. But yeah, she was just phenomenal. I had never seen anything like it, and she's insane. So it just fit. She fit perfectly.
She's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yes.
phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Oh yes. So now, what kind of like inspire you that you want to get into the puppetry field?
Well, honestly, I never thought I was going to be in the puppetry field. It was never on my mind. That wasn't something I ever thought I was going to do. I wanted to be an actor, and so that's what I pursued. I pursued, this thing as myself, not with puppets. There was a very short period of time where my brother decided that we were going to make puppets and do something with puppets, and so he took it upon himself to write to Jim Henson. This is in, I think, 1974. And Jim asking how to make a Muppet. And Jim wrote back. He sent instructions. We got instructions on how to make a Muppet. And so that's what we did. We spent some time creating some puppets. My cousin Gary and my brother Gene and I helped them, basically. They're both older than me, but I helped them. And then my aunt, our Aunt Kathy, she was a deaf mute teacher in New Jersey. And so we would go to her school and do puppet shows for the kids, and what was amazing was it all had to be set to music. We couldn't really do the dialogue, right? So what we did was they would take back then there were big speakers. So we would take the speakers and we would lay them flat on the floor so the kids could feel the vibration to the music and feel the beat, to get what the characters were doing. So we were doing the kind of thing that I guess Jim was doing early on, which everything was set to music.
Right. Yeah.
And I never thought about that actually until just now. So we did things to music for them. And then I never thought I would ever be involved with it ever again in my life,
Right.
So my passion has always been acting and creating characters. I studied with an old famous acting teacher, a guy named Sanford Meisner in New York City for my acting. If you've ever heard of the Meisner technique, he's one of the original kind of creators of techniques of acting.
Nice.
And so I got a chance to work with him, and so that's what I was studying. And when I moved from New York to California, Brian Henson and I became friends when we were 17, but we kept in touch over the years, and he came out to do Dinosaurs, and I said, oh God, can I pull some cables, and how do I get around it? I wanted to be an actor, and he said, well, you can audition maybe. I don't know if you're into this, but we have these characters that are in suits, and I don't know if you're into that. We did the Ninja Turtles, kind of like it. Would that be something you're interested in? I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. And so I went and auditioned, and that's how I got connected to the puppet world. I started off as a human puppet, or a full-size puppet, and then transitioned into hand puppets.
Absolutely. And Dinosaurs is such a great show. A lot of puppeteers. And I remember seeing back then the Dinosaurs reunion episodes you did on the Barretta brothers.
Oh yeah,
those are really funny.
That's right.
So many people, involved. I was so happy to get all those folks to come on and just be there. All the amazing all the writers that came out of Dinosaurs that went on to create other great things. It was a phenomenal show. Kirk Thatcher's designs are unbelievable. He created these characters. It was just a great show to be on. It just, and we still get together and play poker when we can. And some of the guys, that guy B. Lanoil, he kind of messes everything up. But no, Michelin Sisti and a lot of the guys that were on the show, we still get together and try and have lunch every so often. Julian Busher was great on the show. Terry Hardin. I mean, so many great people came out of that show.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of curious, so are there like any interesting like mishaps you can share from working on dinosaurs? Because I'm sure there must have been a bunch.
Well, yeah, there's a well, I'll tell you one just about myself. So the first season, so I could see out of the mouth, right? That was the only way that I could see. There was no hole out of his chin or in the chest. My eyes were the level of his mouth. And so the only time I could see is when he would talk. And so you can imagine, so his jaw rests kind of around here on my, almost near my neck, right? And in the first season, there were supports that helped take some of the weight in the front. They came up from behind and they helped take the weight and allowed me to move him, right? Well, for some reason, the jawline, this fibro, what's it called? I want to say fibromyalgia, but that wouldn't be right. What's it called? What is that stuff called? Oh, anyway, like it's a hard material, right? That the shell, the structure of the head is made of. And
Okay, yeah.
when I would turn my head, it would go into my artery here, and I would pass out. Right. So I would turn my head and I'd go, oh, and I would faint. I would faint inside my suit. And Dave Goles would be like, hello, Bill, we're still shooting, Bill. And then I would come out of it and get him out of there. And they would come and they'd take the head off, and I would like, whoa, what happened? So I had to figure it out because it happened a couple times. And I thought, well, this can't keep happening. So we did a test. I was like, okay, everybody, okay, here we go. We're going to try it. We're going to see if when I turn my head, okay, get him out of there, get him out. So we figured out that that's what it was. I said, I think it's when I turn my head, it cuts off the artery. And so we figured that out. So we got through that. Another fun one was, you can imagine how hot it gets in this thing, right? And everybody's carrying a load of weight, whether it's on your head or your body. We're in these suits for at least, we shot a lot of hours. We shot at least, I think, 14 hours a day. And I'd say we were out of our suits. We have lunch and maybe 2 out of those, 14, maybe some a little more. But we were in them a lot. We rehearsed in the suits. We tried to get out when we could, and it improved as the show went on because everybody got more familiar, and there was a way of getting through the day. Everybody knew what we needed more, and we figured out what we needed. But every once in a while, you wouldn't feel so good. And Leif Tilden, who played Robbie, who was inside the costume of Robbie, he was also Donatello and Ninja Turtles. I'm sure you guys heard of Leif. Yep. I was sitting waiting. We're waiting. I was in Earl. My mouth was open. I was sitting, just waiting in the set, looking around. And I'm watching. And by the way, he and I lived together. So we used to have a lot of parties and stuff. We had a lot of fun. So I'm watching him, and he's kind of like this. He's in the head. By the way, he could see out of the neck, right? So his mouth was up here, and he could see out of the neck. So his mouth was in the neck, his face was in the neck. And so he was leaning over like this. I'm thinking, oh man, I hope he's okay. And we could all hear each other. We had, I don't know if anybody's ever mentioned this, but we all had headphones and microphones. So I could communicate with my puppeteer. I could communicate with another actor next to me in another suit, right? So everybody, if the whole family was there, you had 12 voices going. So I'm watching and I'm thinking, oh, is he okay? Are you okay, Leif? I don't know. I said, oh, gee, I don't think Leif feels too good. And all of a sudden I see Leif go like this to Robbie's neck. His hand goes over Robbie's neck, right? Which is where his mouth is, where Leif's mouth is. But the hand goes to the neck. And I can hear. And I'm going, he's throwing up. He's going to throw up. Take his head off. He's going to throw up. And so they grab his head. They unsnap it. They're trying to get it off. They finally pull it off. And from my view, if you can just imagine just this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see him. They pull the thing off and he just goes, "Pah!" It's like spray into a bucket. They had a bucket ready.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the worst. I think anybody got sick that I remember. He just couldn't keep it in anymore. Yeah. There are all kinds of hazards, you're getting air. It was just very hot, sweaty. We drank tons of water. My costume had a hole under Earl's butt, like a butt hole, that they would stick a big fan, like a hand fan about this size. It's like about that big and that around. And they would put that in the hole and reverse it. So it would suck the air, all the hot air out, right? So they'd open the mouth and they go, boom, and the air would come through. I was like, oh, yeah. And it would go down through and get all the hot air out of there. Lots of weird stuff. Lots of weird stuff.
Such a great show.
Yes.
It is. It's a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have any, I was just quickly going to ask, do you have any favorite episodes?
Yeah.
I think I love the Nuts to War one. That was a two-parter. Boy, that's hard. I like the last episode. I think season 3 had some good episodes. I feel like we hit our stride. Everybody was just in sync. Like like in my first season as Earl, I thought I was terrible. My gestures were all too big. It was just too much. And I'm working with these other seasoned guys who've been doing this, and took me a while to learn, even though I studied acting, less is more. I'm thinking I'm in this suit and I can't really tell right away how it's, what it looks like from the outside. Even though I watched playback, I wasn't getting it. So my first year I thought was all just too big and floppy, and then into the second and third season, and I guess fourth we had. I think it just honed in and got better and better, and for everybody, because we had we had new performers come in, and a guy named Tony Prince became Fran after some people who tried to hang in there. It was just a lot, really hard to do. So they were replaced. But yeah, everybody just got great, really good, and really easy. And you didn't have to, everybody knew each person knew what they were thinking with their partner. It wasn't a lot of, oh, can we try that again? I thought you were going to do this and that. Everybody was just in sync really well and did great performances. Everybody was so good.
Definitely. Anyway, Jake, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. So you also puppeteered various characters on the Animal Show. Can you talk a bit about that?
I wish I could remember some of them. I know I did the was he a chicken hawk?
Yeah,
What was he?
I remember. Yeah.
What was his name?
See, I'm looking at it right now. Armstrong the chicken hawk.
Armstrong, thank you, Armstrong. Yeah, he was fun to do because he was very still. I had fun doing him because he didn't have to do a lot, and I wanted to try, seeing if I could still perform a character that was very kind of still and didn't have a lot of movement, because everybody's always trying to keep it alive and do big things when you're talking. Hey, yeah, and I just wanted to try and simplify it for myself and see if I could do that. So I really like doing him. I also got to work with amazing people, Louise Gold, and of course I said Dave and Steve. Mac Wilson was on there. Karen Prell, amazing. Mike Quinn was on there. Oh gosh. Oh no. That's terrible. I'll think of it. So and we had great writers. Jim Lewis was on there, Jocelyn Stevenson. Great, just a great show to work on. But characters, the only thing I can tell you about characters is that I had to do so many different ones over these seasons. I think I don't know how many total, maybe 25 or 30. I don't even know. But I had to do so many that it was a lesson in how am I going to do all these voices? And it really was about character. It wasn't about voice, right? So everybody first goes to, how do you do the voice? Well, the voice is not the thing. It's part of it. And most people are drawn, right? Auditorily, that's what they want to connect with, is the sound. What do they sound like? But what's behind the sound is the character, right? So I ended up doing things like, I don't know, I'm just going to make some of this up, these animals, because I don't think they won't be right. But let's say there was a gorilla, right? And the gorilla, maybe I wanted to do like a little bit of this kind of, like maybe a little Marlon Brando like this. And maybe he's just miserable. And then I thought, okay, yeah, I'd do more kind. And then, okay, what am I going to do with this penguin? And after going through like a run of all the voices I thought I could do, now the penguin became a little bit of a higher Marlon Brando. So it was more up here, but his attitude was a little different. He was more excited, And so it became about levels, octaves, vocally, to help me just change that a bit, but still being about, the character and what the attitude is, and learning about how to create attitude with the body, with the behavior of the puppet, right? So it's not just I'm the angry guy and I'm going to talk like this, right? It's I'm the angry guy and I'm going to talk, there's attitude in how characters are, so it was about figuring out, how do I manipulate? I'm still learning how to do this thing back then. I'm still learning now, but figuring out how to manipulate these puppets so that they look alive, so that they look like they have weight, that they're not just floating around, that they're really standing there. It's all of that stuff that these guys taught me over a long period of time, and me just trying things.
Of course, definitely.
Absolutely. So, working with the Muppets for the first time, do you remember what your first project was with them?
Just even just totally solely Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a Kokomo video for the Beach Boys,
yeah.
Kokomo.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
I think I did some background characters in Kokomo. And then the fairy tale one. You guys know what that was called?
Muppet Classic Theater.
Muppet Classic Theater, thank you. Yes. And that one, I think, was the first time I had a little featured bit where I was one of the elves, the Elvis elves. So I was the lead Elvis elf. I sang the song, or at least the front man for the song. It was the first time I worked next to Frank Oz in the puppet world. He's such an asshole. No, I'm kidding. So I got to work with him. Actually, on Dinosaurs, he gave me the best note I ever got on Dinosaurs. Remember, I was talking about how I was too big and just my gestures and everything. And so he came over to me at one point. He came to visit the set, and he was like, "I think you're doing great." He said, "But every once in a while, reach up and touch your face, touch Earl's face, rub his chin. People do this every once in a while, or they scratch their head for a second, or they got a little itch. Connect your body. It doesn't feel like your head is connected to your body. Everything you're doing is great and it works, but they feel a little separate." And so once I started doing that, I would lean on his head some or scratch his for a second. It just brought it all together. Great note. Just a great note.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, one of your earliest jobs with the Muppets was one of the Muppet movies. Muppet Treasure Island.
That's right.
So what was that experience like for you, getting to be a part of that?
Oh, it was a dream. I'd never worked on a movie, so the fact that I was going to work on an actual movie was a dream come true. I was going to work with the Muppets, work with my friends who have become now my friends, do a character for the first time in a movie, and be in England shooting a movie with Tim Curry.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was just a dream. I couldn't imagine any other place to be. I thought, this is it. What else do I have to do? This is all. I'll be happy. I'm done. Unfortunately, I had to drive into work every day with Kevin Clash, who just does not know how to drive, and would hit everything. He being on the opposite side of the road was, of course, that's always a challenge for us Americans, but he's just the worst. And so all of my time was being in the passenger side as things would get really close, and I was just going, okay, go, okay, what do, and then he'd hit something.
Oh my
His
gosh.
car, by the end of the film, he had both rear view mirrors were broken off on each side on the doors, and bumps, scratches. Every time we would pull into the stage, each parking spot had a metal pole, in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the thing every morning.
Oh my
Hit the
gosh.
pole. It was unbelievable.
Oh, Kevin.
That was part of my experience on Treasure Island. As a matter of fact, I just saw Kevin Bishop on what is today? Today is Wednesday. I saw Kevin Bishop on last Friday.
Oh wow.
He was in town.
Nice.
We had dinner.
Nice.
Kirk Thatcher and my wife Christina and Kevin and I had dinner. He's a great guy. Great guy. And boy, was he something on that movie. I mean, not only just super talented, but he was like, how do you describe it? He was just this whirlwind of energy everywhere. He was just everywhere. Where's Kevin? Has anybody seen Kevin? Boing, he come down like from above, swinging from something. He and Tim Curry. Tim was very patient. Tim was like, all right, where's Kevin? Hey Tim, and be swinging
Tim
from
Curry
above.
impression, yeah.
But you should hear Kevin do the Tim Curry impersonation. They're very good. But Tim was very patient and just magical to watch. I mean, to watch him, he wanted to, even though we all pre-recorded our songs. If you remember the song "A Professional Pirate," do you guys remember that song?
Yeah.
I do.
Well, you're a professional pirate, right?
Yep.
He wanted to do it live because he felt that you feel that, right? People will know that they're really experiencing that. And so just to be there with that happening was just amazing, to experience that.
Absolutely.
He's an amazing guy, lovely guy.
So, kind of going back to Muppets Tonight, when during your time on there, you developed some of your own characters, including Pepe, of course, that I mentioned, Johnny Fiama, and Bobo the Bear. How did you kind of develop those characters?
They're all based on people that I know, and exaggerations of them. Trying to find the thing that I don't know that might entertain people, but taking their characteristics and just kind of raising it a little bit so it becomes a little more comedic, but also just rooted in reality. That's my thing. Like, I've just always wanted to create characters that are first rooted in reality, right? So they're real. They have a real place. They live in a real place. They're not just a character. They all have a backstory, which is actually another Frank Oz note that I got years ago. If you're creating a character, ask yourself a lot of questions about the character. Do they
Right.
pick their nose? What do they have for breakfast? Where do they live? What size shoes do they wear? How often do they shave? All these things, right, over time helps you develop the characters and to become them instantly, I think. You don't have to think about who it is, right? You just can then say, okay, this is what this is right now. This is who I am. And so in those 3 cases, Pepe is based on my wife's aunt. Maybe you've heard some of these stories. I don't know. My wife's aunt, her mother's sister, is from Madrid, Spain. She's a very mischievous, funny, little, life's a little bit about her. She's not here. She's passed away. But she's such a great character. I just love this lady. We used to laugh all the time. She would tell me stories. She didn't speak a lot of English, but she would start off saying, Bill, tomorrow when we go to the and then she would go into Spanish and just start laughing. And then I would, just because it was contagious, I would start laughing. So we were just laugh together all the time. I don't know what the hell she was saying to me, but we were laughing. So I was with Kirk Thatcher. We were talking about some new character ideas, and I was saying I wanted to try something maybe like Christina's aunt. And Kirk met her aunt in England as well, so he knew her a little bit. And he was kind of doing an impersonation of her, and we were going back and forth, and we were talking about her character. And I was telling him, I was saying, well, she's mischievous and she's a little selfish. And he went, wait, what? What did you say? Shellfish. He said, maybe he's a crab or a lobster or a shrimp, and that's how this idea of him being a king prawn came out. Because I also then, this is the part I think where I added a little bit and elevated a little bit. I gave him a big ego, right, and also an insecurity, which was he's insecure about his size. So he's a king prawn, he's not a shrimp. He's a king prawn, okay. He's bigger. He's more important, okay. He's big. I'm a king prawn. Did you guys ever see? I don't know if you can Google it. Have you guys ever seen Pepe on Craig Ferguson? There was a show called The Craig Ferguson Show.
I think I have. Seen it. Not in a while.
He was on there twice. The first time he went on, I think he was promoting a book.
Yes, and I don't remember what the book is named.
It's the book is It's Hard Out Here for a Shrimp.
Yes, that's right.
But during the interview, Craig said, "No, well, maybe no. You know what? I think the first time he was on, he was promoting Muppet Treasure Island. No, not Muppets Tonight. I think." And he said, "Pepe, have you ever done any other acting? Any other shows or anything or films?" And Pepe said, "See, I was in Forrest Gump." And he said, "Oh, really? Well, what did you play in Forrest Gump?" He said, "I was Shrimp 451." And he said, "A shrimp?" He said, "Really, a shrimp? But was that difficult? Because you're a king prawn." And
right.
Pepe said, "It's called acting, Craig."
Love that.
This attitude, this attitude I added in, but the laugh and the voice and the wanting to, her aunt was a bit of a kleptomaniac. She liked to take things, she would be in a restaurant and things would disappear into her purse. But she was amazing. She's just an amazing woman. And then, sorry, I'm running on too long, but Johnny Fiama is based on my father and my grandfather, kind of combined. My father played Frank Sinatra every Sunday on the radio when we were in the car. He loved to sing, my dad. He was a good singer, actually. He was from Philadelphia and Camden, New Jersey. So he had a little bit of a street thing. He grew up with the Rat Pack days in the 50s, and my grandfather just who also Italian, but they're both Italian American guys. Similar. My grandfather loved music. He was a great dancer. But he had like the friends, the peripheral friends that maybe, you shouldn't associate with. And but he also had great sayings that didn't always make sense. Like he would say, like take phrases and flip them. Like I'm just talking out loud right now, which is normally I'm just thinking out loud, but my grandfather would say I'm just talking out loud. So anyway, I took that kind of education that he had and applied that to Johnny in a way, in a sweet way. And also then again, actually, I took the thing and I raised it a bit because they weren't egotistical guys, but I gave Johnny that. Johnny needed that. And I think that happened because Brian had Sal, and Sal put Johnny on a pedestal. That became our dynamic. I think Brian's the one who was like, yeah, what do you need, Johnny? What is it, Johnny? I get Johnny Fiama coming true. I think that's how I got to the point of Johnny thinking he was very important, even though he lived at home with his mother still, and doesn't get big gigs. And then Bobo is probably just the most like me, just I don't know, happy that he's not, in a zoo, that he's allowed to be out walking around in public, and just grateful to be with this group, and he'll do whatever you ask, kind of thing. What do you need? What do you need? You got it, sir.
Definitely.
Very well. So I'm curious, who were some of your favorite celebrity guests to work with on Muppets Tonight?
On Muppets Tonight, I was in love with Michelle Pfeiffer. She was dreamy, and so good. I think I was in love with the fact that she just straight out acted with the puppets, forgot we were there down below, and just could relate instantly to the characters and played to them as a real actor would. It wasn't like, oh, these are puppets and I'm gonna pretend to be working with she was just amazing to watch work. Tony Bennett, it was a dream
rest his
for
soul.
me.
Yes.
Yeah, just a dream. I don't know if you guys have heard this story. I feel bad because I feel like maybe I tell these stories too much, but the first scene that we did, Johnny is a collector of Tony Bennett memorabilia, and his prized possession is a animatronic Tony Bennett that's in a box in his room. And so we put Tony in this cabinet, so it looks like one of those those machines you go up to and you put a coin in and there's a fortune teller in there.
Yeah.
And they tell you so it's kind of like that. He's in one of those. And Johnny has to go over and press a button, and they're supposed to do a little song together. And I was the first time working with Tony Bennett. They put him in the box. I had met him already, but this was the first time I'm going to do something here. And so Johnny goes up to the thing, and I hit the button, and Tony sings, the thing comes on. He goes, I left my heart in San Francisco. And he freezes, and I'm supposed to say something, and I just start crying. Tears just start coming out of my eyes.
Aww.
And everybody's looking at me, waiting for Johnny to do his line. And I couldn't move, and then they cut, so that was just a huge moment that I would be working with Tony Bennett. And then like we became friends, and we kept in touch over the years, and just amazing, just amazing.
Yeah, and he was on the Macy's parade years later too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He when he was on Muppets Tonight, in his trailer, they had a television, so he could see what we were shooting on stage until he had to come in. And he drew. He's a great artist. I don't know if you guys know that he's a painter and beautiful, beautiful artist. And so he has a sketchbook that he travels with, and he drew Clifford and Johnny and Sal in his sketchbook. And he came and he asked Brian and Kevin and I to sign it. And I was like, excuse me, what? So sign, you want us to sign that? What? He's like, yeah, come on, you can do it, you know. And so we each signed it. And about 5 years later, I went to see him in concert and went backstage, and he had his book there, his sketchbook, and he still had it. He goes, remember this? You know, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. He goes, yeah, I want you to have it. And he gave it to me. Yeah. So I framed it. You can't see it, but it's around the side here. It's framed. Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful. A pencil sketch.
That's great.
That's amazing.
So, oh my God. So sorry. Tony Bennett, Michelle Pfeiffer. There's just, there's so many.
Right.
We had great guests. Prince was like a whole
Prince,
other thing.
Yes.
Prince, yes.
You know, like, don't go near Prince. Don't look at him. Right. Don't interact. And of course, you tell me that. That's the first I just go, you know, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. You know? And all the bodyguards are, like, you know, coming in. And he was so sweet, quiet, sweet to himself, sitting on. He had a big white parka on, sitting in his chair. And then when it was time to go on, he went up and boom, just magic, just like you just wanted to like marry him, anybody, everybody. Like, I want to be near Prince. He was unbelievable, magnetic, you know.
Absolutely.
But Sandra Bullock and Don Rickles, and I mean, it just goes on. We had so many great guests: Billy Crystal, Martin Short, Captain Kangaroo. You guys probably don't have the thing that I do with Captain Kangaroo, but that was like my childhood, you know. George Takei, William Shatner, just the list goes on and on. It was amazing. We had such an amazing casting, and our producer, Martin Baker, longtime producer with Henson. I think he was a big part of getting these names. He's phenomenal at just, you know, making people feel good, and has just a way about him that people go, yes, of course, Martin, we'd love to. You know, it's a special gift.
That's great.
So, yeah.
That's wonderful. So now, aside from having your own characters, you also inherited several of Jim's characters, such as Dr. Teeth, the Swedish chef, and Rowlf the dog, and many others. And, you know, for you get to being, you know, Muppet characters, especially that Jim Henson was the one who originally, you know, did those characters. You know, I know it's kind of big shoes for you to fill in. So, like, what was it kind of like a process like for you? Can you do these characters?
I at first I thought, okay, yeah, I want to try this because I didn't know better, right? I thought maybe I can do this. I felt like again going back to the idea of voice, right? At that time, because I don't know puppets that well and I'm learning, and I'm thinking, I think I can get vocally close to it, to Rowlf or maybe the chef and whatever. But it was more about what I learned quickly and realized I needed to do was to learn about the energy and the integrity of the character, right? Because I can never be the character. It's impossible. It's just impossible. It doesn't come from me. It didn't originate in me. So the best that I can do is an impersonation. And if I can get close, okay, hopefully people like it and it works. But it just became about me watching everything I could of Rowlf, if I'm working on Rowlf, the energy, right? How he moves and how he responds, trying to figure out what made Jim do what he did with Rowlf. So to me, it's all about that. It's about finding the energy and the spirit of somebody else's character, and then trying to get to that level, which takes certainly a while. But then it's after that, it's about, okay, well, they can't just always just be that. That's just a stereotype of a character. It has to grow in some way. So then you start to find ways that you feel doesn't hurt the integrity of the character in any way, and you can still kind of build on it a little at a time. Does this work for him? Is that that doesn't feel quite right, but maybe if we try this from this way, maybe that's a little better. So it was just about finding ways of, and then I guess you start to put a little bit of yourself in there, see if that takes at all, if any of that works. So with all of them, it's really just about that. It's about finding what that person's perspective and energy was, if you can. And I learned a lot about Jim and how he would perform from the other Muppet performers. They would, of course, talk about Jim and tell stories. Dave Gold said to me, you know, when Jim would do Dr. Teeth, he would be like this. His face, he actually talked like he was like this. You know, he would grin when he would do them. And so that helped me figure out, because there's some vocal sounds that Rowlf sounds like Dr. Teeth. There's that growly, but Rowlf is a little rounder, and he's a little more round, a little playful, and then Dr. Teeth's more gritty, and when actually before I started doing Rowlf and Dr. Teeth, nobody had been doing them, and there was I was starting to do Muppet things, and I realized I wasn't hearing the thing that I grew up with, which was Jim's growly characters, right? I was missing that sound in the group, and I thought, boy, I don't know, I don't know who's going to do that. And so when Muppets Tonight came along, it was more of a tribute for Bobo. That's what I did with Bobo. I just thought, this is kind of my tribute to a Jim voice. And so I just made Bobo a little more simple, just kind of like this guy, and so that was, I think, maybe where people started to think maybe you should try Rowlf, or Dr. Teeth. It kind of, I guess, came out of that.
Right.
Yeah. So
definitely.
I don't even know what I answered. I don't know if I answered your question, if I just went on and made up my own new question.
Oh, you're
No
good.
worries. You're good. You did it perfectly.
So
And for what you're doing with these characters and your work thing, you're doing such an amazing job.
Especially, and I know this was a question later on, but especially with the Muppets Mayhem. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh, did you like it?
Oh yeah,
gosh.
such an amazing series. I love it.
Wonderful show.
Hey, there's the album.
Yes, can I also say, Dr. T, congrats on the album, a #1 album, mind you. Congratulations.
That's right. Yes.
I do have to ask though, because for those who don't know, this album is absolutely amazing. The Electric Mayhem album. Certainly honored to have an Electric Mayhem album in my vinyl collection. Delicious, as Dr. Teeth would say. It was a #1 album on the kids charts earlier this year here in America.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that? That the Electric Mayhem not only has an album out, but it's a #1 album on the kids charts, like on a Billboard chart. What was going through your head when you found that out? Like, that's got to be like a huge honor to finally have an album out of the Electric Mayhem and it go #1.
Yeah, no, I think we were all really surprised, and I'm just really proud of all the people that it took to make that thing. There's a lot of great composers and writers and the musicians and the vocalists, and it took a lot, and I think we didn't even think about that idea of winning an award for the album. It was really about the show, right? It came out of the show idea. So we didn't expect that at all. And so I think everybody was just blown away that it got that kind of reaction, and that people enjoyed the music. I do. I mean, I think we got great covers, amazing original songs came out of it. So yeah, I mean, I'm surprised, but I guess in a way I'm not, because I really love the album myself, and I think there is great music on there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I'm
yes.
glad you guys liked it. I'm glad.
Oh,
It's
yes,
it's
absolutely.
amazing. The
Yes.
album itself is amazing, but the show is incredible. By the way, congrats on your Emmy nominations. By the way, too, I forgot to
Thanks.
Yes.
mention that Muppets Mayhem is nominated for 6 Children and Family Emmys.
6.
6. That's amazing in of itself. Not only a number one album, but 6 Children and Family Emmy nominations.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
congrats to you.
Well deserved
Bill.
too. Congrats to everybody on the show as well. But
Yes.
if you're listening on audio, what I'm holding up here is the Electric Mayhem album from Walt Disney Records. Not a paid advertisement, of course, but a terrific album. Certainly very proud to have a copy of Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem's album. Certainly a proud for me as a
we
fan
even
for
have
20 years.
does it, I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, or had a chance, but I'm sure maybe you have, but Ringo Starr plays drums on one of the songs.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
He
So that's
did.
pretty amazing. I wish I got
Yeah.
to see that, but that's pretty amazing.
Mhm.
But yeah, not just to cite one person, but I think the album's great. And yes, we got some nominations.
Yay.
And I'm again really proud of the people that worked on the show. People worked very hard to make it, and I'm glad people liked it. I'm glad it got a great response, and I hope we can do some more.
And the human cast that you got to work with on the show too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Taj
Right.
and
Taj,
everyone, yeah.
everybody,
I'll tell you
yes.
funny story about Taj. So he's, I mean, not to take away from anybody else, but he's amazing, right? So he's so talented. Each take is different than the next, but equally as brilliant. I'm not just blowing smoke. He's really good. And so I know how good he is. So of course I have to tease him and figure out a way to just mess with him a little bit. So he would be doing we do a shot of him as a single of him, right? Doing his lines. And I would go stand next to the camera, just back a little bit from the camera. And he would do a line and they would call cut. And then he would look over at me and I would just go, and he'd go, Bill, what? What? No, nothing. It's just, I don't know. It just, I don't know. And then I would leave. And then he would do another take. And then I would come in from the other room, just completely, just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he would go, Bill, come on, stop it, man, stop it. And so finally, at one point I said, so you know what, I just wanted to, this is not on the set, but like, at lunch, I would say, Taj, I'm really excited. I don't know if anybody's told you yet, but we're creating a CG face that we're going to use for you that I think is really going to help a lot. Because, I mean, your body gestures are great, but it's your face that isn't working for us. And and he was like, oh, okay, great, thanks, Bill, thanks a lot, thank you, really appreciate it. So every once in a while I would do a really bad doodle of like a bad caricature of his face, and I bring it to him and I'd say, here, that we're working on, look how great this is coming along, and I'd show him a version of a really bad cartoon of him. And then finally at the very end I drew a little more detailed. I don't know, I couldn't show it to you, and I gave it to him. As I said, here, it's finally, we're done, looks great, thanks so much. We're talking about we're really, I think we're going to keep your voice, but we're going to use this. And so he put up with a lot, but he was so good. He was so good.
So what was it like working on Kermit Swamp Years?
Oh my gosh, Kermit Swamp Years. What was it like? It was hot. We were in Florida. Geez, I don't know. What can I tell you? I got to see my dad. He lives in Florida. So I got to see my dad at the time. Um, Honestly, I don't remember like any like stories in particular. It was fun. Certainly with great people. Joey Mazzarino. I think that may have been the first time we worked
Love
together.
Joey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joey, he's the best.
Yeah, I think that was the first time we may have worked together, maybe. No, maybe not, but for that period of time on one project, I think. Um, but it was fun. It was fun to do. Fun to try and do a couple new characters.
Yeah, that
I
was
think
good.
my favorite bit, sorry, I think my favorite thing was the rabbit that Steve did.
Oh
There's like a
yes,
song.
Yeah,
right.
He does like this kind of New Orleans rabbit or something, and
Yeah,
that was a great number.
I was just quickly gonna say I love the character you did, Croaker. I think he's just a wonderful character in that movie.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. He was a little bit of a high Brando, wasn't he?
yeah.
He kind of
Mhm.
talked like this. Yeah, he was a tough guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. So in 2005, you directed a pilot for ABC called America's Next Muppet.
Oh.
Could you kind of talk about that?
Yeah. I don't think it worked ultimately. It was a little difficult, but it was fun to do because we brought in some real people, real puppeteers, and then we brought in some ringers. We had Leslie, Bruce, who else was it? Somebody else. We had 3 ringers who pretended to be like this was their first kind of
was
it
it
was like
was it Grant?
no,
No, he
Grant
wasn't.
was the
He was in
winner.
it, but he was not. He wasn't the
Oh
lead
right,
role.
okay, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Grant won actually, but Grant was not in
Yes.
on the joke. But
No.
he later he told me that he he was kind of confused because I think either he knew somebody in the company that knew Leslie, maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know. It was so he was like, why are they here? I think he was on to it a little bit, but he just went with it, which was great. But he ended up winning, which was awesome.
Yes.
Uh, but it was fun because we really did try to create circumstances to see how people would react. Excuse me, in the green room. Bruce was just this really egotistical guy who thought he was better than everybody else. And Julianne, how could I forget? Julianne Busher. She was the other, and she was very religious, very emotional, you know. But then we had the auditions, and people would come in and really do an audition for Kermit and Piggy and Pepe, I guess it was. No, Gonzo, Pepe, and Piggy. Kermit was the host of it. And people come in and audition, and they would critique them. Didn't really make sense. It kind of didn't work.
Mm.
My favorite part was probably that we had David Arquette and Paul Rubens as a duo ventriloquist team.
Mhm.
They were hysterical. They were so funny because they were really bad at it. And the Muppets called them out. They were saying, "You're not even moving the mouths right." And Paul was like, "What do you mean? When I'm talking, his mouth doesn't move." But he just got it all wrong. It was just terrible. It was so bad. It was great. And then we got real reactions from real people who were being, I think, they felt like the Bruce character was rude, and they were experiencing these real situations. So you got some of that too, which was fun. Yeah, so that was that.
Definitely. And you also got to work on one of my favorite Muppet projects, the 2011 movie with Jason Segel and Amy Adams. What was it like getting to work with them?
Oh, they were both great. Very nice, very sweet. Easy to work with. I think they had a good time too. Yeah, everybody on it was great. Chris Cooper was amazing to work with. Alan Arkin, I got to work with Alan Arkin, spend lunch with him. but the people, we had all great puppeteers with us working on it. It was just a fun shoot. We Disney was completely behind it, and there was kind of no restrictions. It felt like it was just we were all in our bubble and making this thing that everybody was excited about and on board with, and so that makes it nice, when you're not questioned about how are you going to do, is this worth it, is this gonna, why are we investing in that? And so it was a great to have that experience of let's go make this thing, and so I think it came out good. I think it was fun. It was fun to do. I think it came out good.
Yeah, and it was the first like major Muppet thing in a couple years, I think, at that point.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as far as a movie, I think we had done specials maybe, and
I think the last thing before that was Letters to Sansa or something like that.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Might have been.
Yeah, we're doing some online stuff, and
right.
Trying to keep them out there. But yeah, that was kind of a big movie, like a theatrical release. Had been in a while. Yeah,
wonderful movie, and that was the debut of Walter too, which I love that character. Peter
did a
wonderful job with him.
Yes, he's great. He Walter came out of an interesting kind of progress. What's the word? Process. He had an interesting process getting to that character, which I really you'll hear if you talk to him.
He's doing an amazing job with lips.
Like, oh
my gosh. He's done.
You have to hear that story too, how we got there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We will.
He's amazing. So good.
Yes.
Quickly going back to the Macy's parade, I know you actually directed the Muppets performance at the Macy's parade, because I know Sesame Street's obviously done the parade for years, and the Muppets have a couple times too. So what was it like kind of getting to kind of help bring the Muppets back for the parade after so many years?
Well, I didn't think of it that way as bringing back, but I guess it was just a fun to be able to be there, and I'd never done it before, and to experience being in New York City and for Thanksgiving and this historical thing, and that we could actually have the band go play. And I wanted to. I love that scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes.
Matt got that right. I wanted to recreate that, and I think we kind of got there. You feel it, there's a flavor of that there. So that was fun to be able to do that. They were open to that and collaborative, and got to let us do that. And then the pre stuff that we shot was fun to do. We shot that early in the morning and had to move quickly, so it was all about preparation,
right?
And just being ready and banging it out, knowing you only have this much time to get it, and we better get it because that's what we're getting. So everybody come together and got real focused and got through it. So yeah, it was something I'll never forget. It was a great time.
Yeah, and that was also one of my favorite kind of recent performances of the Electric Mayhem, because I know you guys got to do Twist and Shout, which was real fun, because like all the marching bands,
I love that performance,
joined along like later in the song, which I thought was really special.
A homage to Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
They were just coming together.
That was the Ferris Bueller's Day Off moment of Twist and Shout, was that the band, everybody joins in, the entire city.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it worked out.
That moment. Yeah. Love it.
That's great.
Yes, it's wonderful. So in 2017 and 2018, you had the pleasure of performing with the Muppets at the Hollywood Bowl and the O2 the following summer. What was it like not only performing in those huge buildings, iconic, mind you, but just being, the Muppets live in front of an audience again?
It was unbelievable. I mean, I wish I had another word. Like, it was astounding, and it came out of what was an experience I can't again put words into, which was we did an Outside Lands concert at the Outside Lands
Yeah,
Festival
that's right.
in
Yeah,
San
that's right.
Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And that was live, right? That was the band playing. We did a 25-minute set because that's all we could really last, with some video pieces in between to give us a couple breaks. But when we first went out there, because we can't see the audience, right? We're behind these walls of our set, and there's our monitors, so we can only see what we see. When I first looked out before we went out, it was about maybe 300 people were out there, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And little did I know that people start coming from there's stages all over Golden Gate Park. And they apparently kept coming. And what I found out was by the end, when we looked out, was that they gauged it to be about 30,000 people.
Oh,
30,000 people came to see the band play.
Oh my God.
It was unbelievable. You couldn't see, if you look at some photos, I wish I could show you some, but if you look around, these aren't photoshopped photos. There's a picture out there of Floyd and Janice from behind looking out to the crowd. That's real. And it's insane.
Yeah.
And so at that moment, I was just like, I can't believe this. This is unbelievable. And like, you're crying, you're so emotional, that people would come to this. And so out of that came the idea of wanting to do the show about the Mayhem Band. But before that came, let's do a Muppet show. And at the time, the Muppet Studios worked that out with the Hollywood Bowl and Kirk Thatcher and Soapbox Films, Andrew Williams. All these people came together and we created this show. And that was amazing because it was really a Muppet show live, right? It was like seeing the Muppet Show, but in person.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I had a ball. Bobby Moynihan was a great host to have with us, a co-host. The songs are great. We had a great choir join us,
Yes.
at the end, and it just was great. And there was a moment where Muppet Studios was concerned about people. They were like, how are we going to do this for the audience? Because you're going to see all the performers, right? And I kept saying, it's okay. Let's not hide
Because
behind
people
walls.
get it.
Yeah, we can't
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
we can't do the stuff that we really want to do to make this fun if we're behind a wall all the time. We need to run through and come in and go around. And so let's
Yeah.
be in black and we'll be as inconspicuous as possible. And the people in the first, 30 rows are going to see us. And they're probably going to be interested of how we do
Yeah.
it. So it was a
Right.
little bit of how's it done. And then the big monitors are up. So people are watching there and they're watching there and they're watching, they're seeing it. And I thought, let's just do it like a show. Let's shoot it like a Muppet show with cameras so that we
Yeah.
can perform and the people will see what it's like. And that's what we did. And it worked, I guess. And the O2 wanted to have us. And so we all flew to London and did it there. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. So
That's
since
great.
we're running short on time, I quickly wanted to bring up Louie on Sesame Street because I know you originated that character.
Yeah.
What was it like getting to do him for a couple years?
Great, because I got to work with my buddy Kevin. That's he's the one who got me into it, really. He wanted me to play the dad. It's my second time as his dad.
Right.
I
Yes.
was the
It's
baby's dad on Dinosaurs, and now Elmo's dad. And I wanted to do a little tribute to Louie Prima. I don't know if you guys know who Louie Prima is. If you get a chance, look him up. You may know him because you're Muppet fans. You may know him from a song that Jim lip synced to on Ed Sullivan. Oh, black magic has me in its spell. Oh, black magic that you weave so
Okay.
well. Those icy fingers running up and down my spine. That was Louie Prima. And he's also the voice of King Louie in Jungle Book, the animation, the Disney, original Disney
Yes,
cartoon.
that's right.
So that's Louie Prima. And I have a thing for Louie Prima and his life, working on some projects over the years, trying to develop something for him. But I just thought, Louie would be from New Orleans, just an easygoing kind of guy. And Kevin liked it, and we just ended up doing it. And then one of my favorite songs, if you guys have heard Proud,
Yes.
Beautiful
Yes.
song.
Yeah, beautiful song.
Love that song. We
Absolutely.
got to do that, and we did these videos for the military families.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I got to work with Fran Brill. Fran was his wife.
Oh, I love
Fran.
So she, we had a
She's
great time.
incredible.
Yeah.
And so it was great. And then there was a point where I guess it was just too much to every time they wanted to use Louie that they would have to fly me to New York. So I just said, well, can we, find somebody to do this? And can I be a part of that? And Tyler is amazing. He can do anything.
Yes.
And he just got it right away. He just got the character. And so Tyler, thankfully, is doing Louie. So that's
He's doing a great job.
he's always great. He's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah,
absolutely. One of my one of the things I remember that when you originally performed Louie, one of the Sesame videos that I remember watching a lot, growing up, that you were involved with Sesame during that point was Elmo's Party Time.
Party time.
Of course.
Yes.
Yes.
great video. So
Yeah.
So this last question I'm about to ask, we usually ask to every guest. Of course, this podcast is called Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. When you think of nostalgia, what do you think of? Or in your own words, how do you define the word nostalgia?
Well, if you're gonna try and make me cry, family. To me, nostalgia is family. That's what I think of. I think of when I was a kid, and I think of all the great stories that I heard when I was a kid from my parents, and grandparents, and their nostalgia. I think it's something that is passed on if you're lucky enough to have a family that can share that and memories. I mean, I guess that's right. Nostalgia is part of memories.
yeah.
So
absolutely.
when I get nostalgic, I guess I tend to think of my family and extended family. I mean, my family isn't just blood.
Right.
I have lifelong family friends that are family. I have my Muppet family. So yeah, I guess to me, nostalgia is rooted in family.
Absolutely agree. Word signed on. Well, Bill, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This was a blast, man.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. I'm sorry. I think I rambled on and probably took up too much time for each question, but I hope it's okay.
No, you're good.
No, it's
No worries at
perfectly
all.
fine. It's perfectly fine. Don't
Keep
worry
in
about
touch.
it.
I will let you know when this goes
Yes,
up. It
and-
should
and-
go up in a couple weeks, like maybe
couple
2-3
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah, I
2-3
think
weeks
December
it'll go up.
1st is we're planning to do
Second.
that. So
Yeah.
so yeah,
December
but yeah,
2nd, it'll go up.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll
Well,
let
enjoy
my brother, the archivist, know. He loves to make sure
Of
gets
course.
everything. So.
Well, keep
Oh,
in
that's
touch,
great.
Bill. I will let you know when
Yes,
this goes up. And
yes, and-
Thank you,
and-
fellas.
Of course, for
Thank you.
what you're doing is, means a lot. What you're doing are a big part of our lives, and keep up the great work for you're doing. You're amazing for what you're doing, and keep up.
Thank you.
Can I wait? What's
Yes.
next in store for you? Especially more
Thanks.
Muppets Mayhem,
hopefully.
more
Yep.
with everything else.
Hopefully,
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. Working on it. We'll see what
All right.
happens.
Enjoy the rest
Yep.
of your evening, Bill.
All right, guys. Take care.
You
You
too.
too, Bill.
Bye.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Bye. It's goodbye from us as well, everybody. We absolutely enjoyed our time with Bill Barretta. Keep on
Yes,
the
we
lookout
have.
for more wonderful interviews
Yes,
coming your way.
and his social media and everything will be in the description down below, so everyone have a
Yes,
follow.
yes,
Keep it
yes.
safe.
Also check out his show, The Barretta Brothers, that he does
Yes.
for the Gene. It is a phenomenal
Mhm.
show.
Yes, they've
check
had a
that
lot
out
of
on YouTube.
Mayhem, the
wonderful.
album.
Yes,
and
they've had a
everything
lot
else.
of wonderful
Yes.
Muppet guests on, and human like celebrities that they've worked with in the Muppets on the Barretta Brothers. So check that out. It's a good watch. You'll love it.
Oh, it's great. It's
But again,
great.
keep on the lookout for more wonderful interviews coming your way. And as always, what do we say, Jake?
Keep nostalgia alive. Take care, everyone. See you next time. See ya. Bye.
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 Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show interview. Be sure to follow Jake and the crew on social media and stream the show wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And as always, remember to keep nostalgia alive. Bye-bye.